Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into comic book movies, blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my co-host, Devin, on this fine Sunday morning. Moondance Diner.
Yes.
And today we're treading into the golden abyss to talk about the latest video game movie adaptation out there, and that is none other than Naughty Dog's Uncharted. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet, on podcasts platforms around the internet, mind you. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, you name it. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, how are you doing on this fine Sunday? You got your nice little Cleveland 22 shirt on there. You're representing. Yeah. I feel it.
All-star games in Cleveland this year. It's been fun.
Has it? Oh, that's right. I see. I haven't really I haven't paid attention to basketball.
Fieri's hanging out. He's having a good time.
Yeah, I feel it, man. It's been a while since I don't know. I don't personally follow basketball as much anymore, especially after King James left. So
he'll be back. Don't worry.
Will he?
Oh yeah, I'm calling it now.
That man is in LA living a very comfortable life.
But on a very bad team.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it's been a while since I've followed any kind of basketball. I don't know. It's just not my sport. My sport, unfortunately, is already over. So that kind of sucks. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what I'm going to do for like the next few months. I guess I'll, get back into working out, going to the gym now that I can dedicate more time to that. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Devin, how's your weekend been? Just overall, it's been chilling, just playing some new games. What have you been watching?
I've been watching Love Is Blind. It's really dumb, but entertaining.
Everyone's been watching that. Is it really that good? So is it worth getting into?
Yeah, I watched the first season when it came out, and it's just like the premise is just so ridiculous that you just kind of watch and you're just like, wow. This is insane because it's about people getting married without ever seeing each other.
So it's like Tinder.
Like they talk between a wall, and then they like propose, and they have to see if it works.
So do they propose after they see each other or before?
Before.
Oh. And
then they meet, and then they go on a honeymoon, and then they get married.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It's so strange.
It sounds very strange, but it sounds like a very interesting like thing because I mean
they keep calling it like an experiment, like a new way of dating and finding love. I don't think it's that deep, but yeah, it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, because there's always like those other there's like researches out there, or I've seen like other studies where it's kind of the same thing where. But you just stick two people in the room for like a certain amount of time. Obviously, they can see each other. And it's like a certain time limit or time frame to see if they can like fall in love with each other. It's really weird. I read up on it a while ago, but I'll have to check it out. Like even my roommate, my future roommate, he's been talking about it. Him and his girlfriend have been watching Love Is Blind, and like I guess I got to check it out. But
Netflix has plenty of pretty interesting reality TV to go through.
Netflix has all the good shows, all the hot garbage TV shows like Tiger King. I never saw the second season, so
did anybody?
There were some people out there. We were pumped for it, and then it didn't look as good. I was like, I'm good. I think that ship has sailed for sure. But Devin, we're here to talk about some Uncharted. Another video game movie adaptation has come our way. So are you ready to just jump?
Well, maybe a bit of dumping.
a little bit of dumping, a little bit of praising, maybe. We'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this introduction to Uncharted.
500 years ago, my family found the world's biggest fortune, then was betrayed. People have been searching for it all in vain.
Both you turn your keys clockwise at the same time.
Thanks a lot. You almost got me killed.
Clockwise, Sully.
Well, it was 50-50, so I made a guess.
Clearly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with our Uncharted review, and the synopsis is as follows. Street smart man Nathan Drake is recruited by seasoned treasure hunter Victor Sullivan to recover a fortune amassed the Ferdinand Magellan and lost 500 years ago by the House of Moncada. The director includes Ruben Fleischer, excuse me there. Writers also include Art Marcum, Matt Holloway, and Rafe Judkins. And of course stars Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Antonio Banderas, and very, very few others that I actually recognize. There's a nice little surprise in this movie. I'm not sure if you picked up on that, Devin. Nice little, cool little, you say you didn't.
How could you not?
Oh, how could you not? Okay. I got you. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're here just talking all things Uncharted. A little bit of backgrounds. Me and Devin, for those who are actually tuning in for the first time, Devin and I we're pretty much avid gamers for the most part. Haven't really been able to play as many games as I'd like to this past year, but I think I cracked about 5 or 6 last year. So it seems to be the number is always dwindling due to, other obligations. But yeah, we're here talking about another movie, a video game movie adaptation. And it really pains my heart to see so many video game adaptations out there. Around 40 of them right now are just straight not good. It's the nicest way I can put it. There are some exceptions out there. Of course, like Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess you can say Free Guy is a video game movie, even though it's not based on an original, or an existing property. It's still a movie about a video game. But The Matrix 4 does not count. Does not count at all. But I guess I'll start off this time just giving my initial reaction, and I'll pass it over to Devin. I always try to go into these movies with an open mind and, not quote unquote, as people like to call it, like hate watch it. I didn't really care for this movie all that much. After seeing it, I thought it is, actually, let me first let everyone know. I think this is a fine movie that people should go see, especially if you're looking to, just a fun movie to go see with friends, or a fun movie for the family, for everyone to go see. If there's nothing else to do during the weekend, I would definitely go check it out, because the box office numbers are doing actually pretty well for this. It's overperforming expectations at the domestic box office. It's currently set to debut with a 45 million in its first 4 days. And that's from Deadline. But going back to my initial reaction, this is definitely probably one of the worst adaptations I've seen in a while. And the reason why is because this isn't just any ordinary movie, video game, adaptation they just pull out of the ring. As we've seen earlier this year, HBO has teamed with PlayStation. So HBO is making The Last of Us TV series. And of course, Neil Druckmann is very close to that project. For those of you who don't know who Neil Druckmann is, he was the creative director behind both of The Last of Us games. And I believe he was also the creative director, or game director, from, it's either, I know he did it for Uncharted 4 for sure, but I can't remember if he did it for Uncharted 3. But he was tied to a few Uncharted projects as well. This movie is just not, it's not Naughty Dog quality. I mean, I know Naughty Dog has nothing to do with this, but for a 2-hour movie, it's just not. This movie feels so hollow, and I'm disappointed because you're taking one of the best franchises that PlayStation has to offer, and you're somehow just making this weird, hey, look, it's I don't want to get off on my rocker here, but it's not good. And the storytelling should be higher. Like coming from PlayStation, who prides themselves on single player story driven experiences when it comes to their exclusive games. I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West right now as of this recording. And even playing through, a few of the Uncharted games, maybe about a year ago, it's not the same. And I don't think it's Tom Holland's fault either, because I think he does a fine job as a young Nathan Drake. But the rest of this cast is terrible. I think they're terribly cast. It serves nothing. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to pass it over to Devin before I give myself an aneurysm. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just very disappointed that this is Naughty Dog we're talking about, one of their best properties. Like Naughty Dog's
their sticker was in that little box.
I did see that. Yeah. It's, I don't know, man. I'm just excuse me for kind of going all over the place, but I'll pass it over to you so I can collect my thoughts, because I'm not heated, but I'm just like, how do you mess up something so good that shouldn't? You have all the source material there. You have 5 games. Not saying that this movie has to be a adaptation of one of those games, because it's not. I'm fine with it being its own adventure, but I also find it very hard that Hollywood, I don't know. I'm sorry. Continue, Devin. What were your initial reactions on Uncharted?
I'm right there with you. It just feels like there's nothing that this movie really has to offer. Like there's nothing compelling. When you think about what you'd want from an Uncharted movie, you'd want an interesting story, doesn't have that. You'd want good action, does not have that. You'd want pretty good looking effects and CGI, really does not have that. I thought the CGI was horrendous in this movie. Like that first scene on the plane,
yeah,
they do the thing that every movie now does, where they show a scene that's later in the movie first,
yep,
and then you go back to a different angle kind of at the end. But you're just kind of watching the same scene twice, and it looks so bad. When he's flopping around outside that plane, he's like Gumby. His body is like stretching weirdly, and oh my God, it just looks so horrible. All the CGI, I don't understand how they just messed that up so bad. And then if you have bad CGI, that's not good. But if you have a good story, maybe you can kind of make up for it. But there's just nothing interesting here. There's just, these characters are not interesting. Sully is so unlikable. There's not one point in the movie where you're like, yes, I like this character. Even at the end where he redeems himself, quote unquote, by kind of saving Nate, there's just nothing there. He's just a hollow character. I don't even think Mark Wahlberg did that bad of a job. I thought he did the best he could have, but his character was just not interesting at all. And of course, Tom Holland, he's trying his best. Antonio Banderas is a bad guy, is not good usually.
He didn't really sell me as the antagonist for sure.
I mean, I liked Sophia Ali as Chloe for the most part. And then I thought Tati Gabrielle as Braddock, as kind of the main villain, was interesting, kind of. Her like little posse was terrible. Those 2 big guys. Like the Scottish guy says the one funny line and then nothing else the rest of the movie.
They changed it from the marketing too. I was actually waiting for it to come up, because he's like, you're gonna get yourself. Can't do it in a Scottish accent.
Scottish welcome.
Yeah, and then like in the trailer, like Tom Holland pauses. He's like, "What?" I like that better than he was like in the movie. They actually changed it, or they used a different shot. But he's like, "Come again," or like, "What did you say?" I was like, I thought it was better the first time, because his accent was so thick. I was like, yeah.
They also showed part of the post-credit scene in the trailer. I remember seeing that at one point.
See, I didn't realize that, because was there only one post-credit or 2?
Yeah, there's one right after the movie, and then there's that one that's like towards the end.
Oh, I didn't say it for the one towards the end. There was one like right, like I guess you can call it the main.
Well, I remember seeing it in a trailer. It was Sully with a mustache, and he was like, "You'll get one once you hit puberty, kid."
That's terrible. I don't know. I mean, it's so, before we get into the spoilers for sure, it's just, I've had a second to collect my thoughts, I guess you can say. And, obviously me and Devin definitely agree with this. It's just, like Devin said, Antonio Banderas, I don't think he was a very like believable villain, and his partner in crime as well. It's like this movie just felt very empty. It felt very hollow. And I don't see how this is just a complete downgrade from even taking out like the interactivity of the video games. And it's like I just don't know. There's actually an IndieWire, oh my gosh, an IndieWire article out there that kind of talks about it. Tom Holland stars in a bland video game movie, less cinematic than its source material, which I 100% agree, because I don't know how you mess up this bad, where it's like, the one thing that people love about Sony exclusives, it's the cinematic appeal, the cinematic approach to these single player story driven games. And okay, it's like, yeah, okay, let's make an Uncharted movie. Sounds like a good idea, because people always say, hey, they should make Uncharted into a movie, or Last of Us, whatever, because it has those cinematic vibes. It's like, I used to agree, but now not anymore, because if this is the road they're going to continue down, especially like through Sony Pictures, and of course, well, now it's PlayStation Productions when it comes to the video game adaptations for these properties, I just don't see it really happening. I agree with you. Tom Holland is trying his best in this movie, and I'm trying not to make this much so it's like game versus film adaptation, but it's kind of hard not to bring it up. But Mark Wahlberg, he's never really been like a favorite actor of mine. I think he was completely miscast as Sully. It's fine if they're going to have a younger Sully in this franchise, but Sully is supposed to be like essentially like the brother / father that Nate never had. Like, you see it all the time. They are literally like essentially, a bromance type thing. I was listening to the Nerd Suit podcast, and they kind of talked about it. How, Sully and Nate are essentially the heart of all of these games. Without it, you really don't have all that much. And I mean, it misses the mark on so many things. But like, it's a fun ride, quote unquote. Like, if you know nothing about the video games, you're going to love it. I think the Rotten Tomatoes score for critics is around a 40 right now. For audience, I think it's hovering between like a 90, like 85, 90, something in between there. But it's just so disheartening to see, because I was like low key hoping this movie will be like somewhat good, because it should. You have all the source material, but it also feels like a hodgepodge of all of like there's so many scenes that I saw in the movie that they were taken straight from the game. Of course, the big like helicopter or the plane scene where everything's kind of flying out, that's taken straight from Uncharted 3. In fact, it is literally the cover of Uncharted of Uncharted 3.
That's just how sloppy the story is, because you're doing a prequel but using scenes from the games. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and so I guess this is supposed to be connected to the games. I'm not entirely sure, but I've also read that it's not. Like, if it's its own universe, that's fine. That's whatever. That's not what I'm really like upset about. It's just
on IMDb it says it's a prequel to the games.
Okay. I mean, maybe that's true, maybe not. It's just I don't know. I thought Chloe, the lady girl who played Chloe, I thought she did an okay job. It's just, she didn't really sell it for me. The pacing of this movie overall was just very weirdly, like, it was like super fast. And I don't know, there wasn't a lot of like believable.
The pacing is very fast, and we don't get like any time to just kind of
breathe, develop
these characters.
Yeah. And nowadays it makes more sense for video game movie adaptations or adaptations of video games should probably move more towards TV, much like book adaptations have. And I kind of get it. It's different with video games, because it is technically, and this is just me speaking, I'm not sure if anyone else out there feels the same way, but the video game industry actually makes like a lot of money. I would actually argue more so than Hollywood just overall, because it's different in this case, because you have it's different between video games and movies. like with movies don't technically have to be good in order to make a lot of money. And we've seen that time and time and time again, especially like the Lion King remake, which was, you know, obviously for us first older Lion King fans was not as good, but hey, it made over $1 billion. So of course, somewhere down the line, they're going to make Lion King 2 the quote unquote live action. But in order for a video game to like receive like critical acclaim and to receive, you know, and to make money, it has to be good. Like, at least from my experience. I mean, tell me, you know.
Well, this movie's making money, so I don't know if that holds here.
Yeah, I'm saying, like with movies don't have to be good in order to make money. For video games, they have to be good in order to gain any type of like traction when it comes for like the Game Awards or just even for like Horizon Forbidden West. I think it's around like an 85 or 84 on Metacritic, which is really, really good. But usually in the video game realm, it's like you're not really turning heads unless, you know, you're in that range of, you know, either like it's an exclusive game or I would say between like the 80 to like 100 range. But that's just my personal thought on the whole situation. But it's like, I just don't understand how they messed up this bad. I mean, like you said before with the antagonist, couldn't tell you a single one of like the lackeys' names whatsoever. And, you know, you're taking you're taking a 2-hour experience, which usually takes about, I think on average for like an Uncharted game, you could probably beat it in about 9 to 10 hours, depending. I think Uncharted 4 is the longest one, but I feel like this is more of a happy medium. It's like you're trying to take a 9-hour storytelling experience and shrink it down into 2 hours. That doesn't work at all. It's not going to work. I don't know. I mean, we kind of had our doubts about this movie, but you know, I wanted to go into it with an open mind. Definitely didn't hate watch or anything because I didn't want to hate watch it. I wanted it to be good. Like I really, really did. But it's like with some video game franchises, they do work with movies, but it's very seldom. I mean, Pokemon has done it over and over again, but granted, most of the Pokemon movies are animated. So it's like, you know, and they already have like the head of the TV series kind of like backing them up and whatnot. But I just don't know, man. I mean, Chloe was fine. We didn't get Nadine Fisher in this whatsoever. You know, Nate's main love interest. Chloe doesn't really show up until Uncharted 2, but you know, if this is a prequel, that makes it even more confusing. But at the same, like if it's its own separate universe, I feel like that's okay. But I don't know. It's I'm lost for words. I really, really am, because I really wanted to like this movie. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, but I'm at the same time, I'm disappointed, but not surprised about, you know, the reactions from people. Cause I saw it with a few friends and I was like, hey, like, you know, they said they liked it and they're like, oh, like, what do you think? I'm like, I didn't really like it. Like, I think it's a fun movie, but like lightly fun kind of, I don't know. It was just, I didn't feel like they were in any real danger as well.
Yeah, they're never in danger. And I feel like we went through this already, like, what was it, 5 years ago? The Tomb Raider movie. It's like,
yeah,
it's like the same thing, because obviously it's easy to compare Tomb Raider and Uncharted, very similar games. And then their movies come out. And I remember seeing the Tomb Raider movie in theaters, and I was like, at the time I was like, it was all right. But now I couldn't tell you a single thing about that movie. Like, I don't remember anything that happened.
I don't even think I remember watching it. But
not a single thing. And that's going to be like just like this movie. A couple of years, maybe even 1 year from now, I'm not going to remember a single thing from this movie.
No,
because it's just they can't capture the magic of the kind of doomed from the beginning, because it's all just Indiana Jones. Like, it's all it is you're just repeating an Indiana Jones type movie.
Right. And of course, Naughty Dog was inspired by Indiana Jones to make the Uncharted series. And I mean, I remember when the first Uncharted game came out, people were kind of like iffy on it. But by the time Uncharted 2 came out, everyone's heads were turning. And I'm fine with it being like an Indiana Jones-esque adventure, but there is no sense of adventure. There is no sense of like wonder to this world, you know, like you kind of get
nothing new.
Yeah. You kind of get like a little bit of historical like figures in here and like a few like little facts here and there. But it's not there's no sense of wonder here. It's like, man, like I really want to be transported into this world. If there's anything this this movie is maybe want to do, it's just go back and start playing the Uncharted games again and like wipe this from my memory. Because it's these adaptations for video games, when it comes to movie, they just don't work. Like for the most part, they don't work. I mean, we saw success of Sonic, but Sonic, the team behind Sonic actually cared, because obviously we had that huge, disfigured Sonic that came out, and fans and even Sega themselves were like, no, this is not that type. This is not Sonic. So they literally went back because they heard a lot of fan feedback, and just everyone's like, this isn't Sonic. And it ended up being a decent like video game movie for a video game. That and Detective Pikachu are like the two that kind of work, but like those are, I don't know, they're trying to tell their own different stories, because in Pokemon there's always a new different adventure. So I feel like you can do whatever type of storytelling you want to and just have, those characters surround it. Obviously with Sonic, like Sonic goes on many adventures, but there isn't like a clear cut, narrative story line for Sonic throughout all of his games. It's different adventures throughout every single one. But like with Uncharted, has prided itself on these cinematic interactive experiences. And there's something that video games do that movies just can't copy when it comes to these single player story driven interactive experiences. There's a disconnect. And I think it's maybe just because, watching movies is more of a passive experience, which makes sense as to why there's been so many book to movie adaptations. But when it comes to like Uncharted, the best parts about Uncharted is when you're in those super tight situations that you have to get out of. And it actually does make me feel anxious, but I didn't feel anxious at all like watching like this Uncharted movie. I know you actually played through the first Uncharted game beforehand. Did you get through anything else or just the first one?
Just the first one.
How'd you think about it?
It's tough for me because I've played all the recent Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to like.
Yeah, you love Tomb Raider.
Go back to an older game and kind of, because I don't have that initial perspective of it, because obviously the Tomb Raider games are newer and just kind of better made than kind of an original PS3 game. But I thought it was decent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I played through the first one. Usually when I go through the Uncharted games, I usually actually tend to skip the first one. I just go from 2 onward because I really, really love 2. 3 is okay. 4 is really, really good. And then you have the prologue with Nadine and Chloe, Lost Legacy. That's more of kind of like a Miles Morales type situation. It's like 6 to 7 hours, nothing too long. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's just, there's not even any cool new Explorer Indiana Jones type puzzles or anything. Like the only thing they do is in this movie is you have to put a lighter underneath the paper to see the magic writing.
Yeah, and of course the thing they did with the keys
100 times before,
right? And the thing they did with the keys as well. Actually, I got to be proud of ourselves. Then we're doing non-spoilers here pretty well. I think this is a first for us.
That's the thing. There's nothing really to spoil, because nothing exciting happens to spoil. You don't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to my mom called me the other day. She's like, do you see any movies this weekend? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, what'd you see? I'm like, oh, Uncharted. She's like, oh, was it good? Because she loves Indiana Jones. Like, I mean, I think I was introduced to Indiana Jones before I was introduced to Star Wars through Lucasfilm, just because we had all the, well, minus one Shia LaBeouf at the time, the original trilogy of Indiana Jones at home. And I was like, man, this is like amazing. Like, I love these movies. And I told them like, yeah, like, I mean, it's difficult because if you're a fan of the games, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to like it. Obviously, we're not trying to take this movie seriously because I don't think it's trying to take itself seriously at all. I mean, it's a, like we said, it's a video game movie adaptation. None of these really take themselves seriously.
It's kind of crazy that I can't even think of something that can be spoiled, that's how like mundane this movie is.
Well,
There's not a plot point where like, wow, that's insane. I can't believe that happened. I don't want to spoil it for you.
I mean, I guess there's
nothing.
There's that one post-credit scene. I'm like, okay, if you've played the games, you know what happens. It's like there's no way that, you know, with everything with because they do bring up Nathan's brother, Sam, in this movie. You're really not properly introduced. You're actually not properly introduced to him in the game franchise until Uncharted 4. That's where they really dive into that, hence it being the longest one. And it's very, very good. But yeah, like that was like a more proper introduction to Sam Drake. But he is in this film. You know, they do like a few of the flashback sequences. It's like I said, there's nothing to spoil because if you play the games, it's just a bunch of hodgepodge of whatever. Like I just wanted them to make a decent story, just a random adventure that Nate, Sully, you know, Nadine and or Chloe or like go on and just have fun with it. But I feel like they focus too much on making it like the games, which is not what we want. Look at Arcane. Arcane is probably, I mean, it is in my like not even favorite video game at like adaptations. It's like one of my favorite shows of all time. Like it is in my top 3 because they did such a great job with just, you know, exploring the backstory of these characters. League of Legends, you know, it's not a very story driven game. Like they do have like their backgrounds, much like in Overwatch with their heroes, but they just focused on making a good story. They didn't worry about, oh, we have to make it exactly like the games. Like, yeah, there's going to be Easter eggs because, you know, of the weapons and whatnot. But with this movie, with Uncharted, they just were like, oh, like we're going to take some of like, you know, the best like action sequences from Uncharted, the Uncharted games, and just stitch them into one. Like the obviously, you know, we already talked about the plane scene. That's one of them. Another one that is similar but not quite the same would be when they're trying to retrieve the other artifacts at the bar. That's more so or less from Uncharted 4, or it gives me Uncharted 4 vibes. And of course, really, really quick, one little spoiler. Nolan North makes a nice little appearance. So that was pretty cool.
There's a lot going on in that scene.
He's there for like 2 seconds. I'm like,
of course he makes his appearance known and makes it obvious with the awkward banter between the two. But
yeah,
I don't know if you noticed when Chloe was getting out of that water, there was she had an interesting look.
Yeah,
very, very unclothed.
It's just I don't know. I mean, if you don't know who Nolan North is, he is the for a quick little history lesson. He voices Nathan Drake he's mocapping for Nathan Drake in the video games. So if you don't like recognize his voice, you wouldn't even know who he is, like whatsoever. So it's like, oh, like if you're not a fan of the games, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, he talked to some random dude on the beach for like half a second. It's like, yeah, that is, you know, Nathan Drake, the one that we all know and love. So I thought that was a nice little cameo for sure. But like you said, Devin, there really isn't much to spoil besides that. But like that's really just more of a little Easter egg, I guess you could say, more so than like a spoiler.
I mean, they get a couple pieces of treasure at the end. They become a team, I guess.
It just they don't that team
nothing changes in the end of the story. Like,
I mean, it's just Sully. Mark Wahlberg as Sully feels more like an older brother, like trying to screw Nathan over more so than like actually be like a father figure to him. But then again, I really don't know what's going on. Like, I mean, no doubt they're going to make another one, and I mean, no doubt we'll probably cover it because, you know, we're suckers. It's like we're gonna cover it because it's, you know, it's something that we care about. But I mean, I just really hope if they do make a second one, I hope it's better. That's because this just did not do it for me. And I guess this is from the perspective of two people who have played the games or games similar. It's just, you know, like when you watch Indiana Jones, I'm like, man, like there's just so much action and like so much funny banter.
I was reading on the IMDb page that Sony approached Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg to write and create this movie, but then they turned it down because they just said it's just another Indiana Jones.
That is very
hard. It's hard to escape that.
It is hard to escape that because I mean it really is just an Indiana Jones for the new age, but you know, for video games. And like I've said, it's just this the magic that video games can bring for like the empathy you have control. Like even right now, like I said, I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West, the new PlayStation exclusive from Guerrilla Games that came out, and I'm loving it. It's, you know, the cinematic approaches is there. You know, you're able to. I feel like I'm living through this journey. Same thing as when I play the Uncharted games, and I'm not sure they kind of matched it up because I believe the remastered of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy is out for PlayStation 5 as of a few weeks ago, and then the movie comes out. It's seems that that's what they're doing, but I gotta say, man, I really hope the Last of Us series that HBO is putting on. I hope the quality's better. I hope the quality's, because that's
Same thing with Halo.
Yeah, and it's like I said with Uncharted, that's Naughty Dog property, and so is Sony, but you know the studio made. It was Naughty Dog for Uncharted.
Maybe we'll be getting
and Last of Us,
Jack and Daxter movie or series as well.
I mean, but of course, like the first, like, you know, PlayStation Productions, we got the nice little new intro for the movie. It's like, okay, they're clearly setting up, like they want to do more, and this is not the first time.
They want to be a movie studio.
Yeah, but like they kind of already they have Sony Pictures, and it may not be with PlayStation characters, but we did get the Ratchet and Clank game. There was
also a movie for that.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like a movie that was based off of the original game, and it was strange. But I mean, at least it was animated, and I'm like, at least this is something that like kids for the most part can enjoy. I didn't think that one was like half bad for a video game movie because like you can't do a live action Ratchet and Clank like movie adaptation whatsoever. There's just no way. But like we're starting to see the trend again, where you know it used to be, you know, every movie got a video game. Now it's every video game is getting a movie. Like, as you know, we had like the Star Wars movies, like Revenge of the Sith, when the prequels came out, you know, Spider-Man and the Hulk and all that stuff. Like every movie got a video game back in like the early 2000s when we were kids. Now it's kind of flipped where it's like, hey, every video game is now getting a movie and or a TV series. We have BioShock coming up for Netflix. I don't know how they're going to tackle that because there's a lot going on there, but at least it's a TV series. Like you said, we have Halo coming up, which already got greenlit for its second season, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is there. But and of course we have the Last of Us HBO series popping up, and Cuphead just came up, is now streaming on Netflix, I believe. The Cuphead show. I think they're only around like 15 minutes episodes long from what I've seen. I'm like, not too bad, but I don't know, man. I feel like Hollywood's barking up the wrong tree when it comes to video games, because like, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think when it comes to storytelling, video games do it so much better. They really, really do. When it comes to, you know, specific properties, not every single video game out there, but when it comes to story-driven single-player experiences, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, obviously, the Guardians movies are amazing, but like that was a great game that I played, and I was like, wow. Like it made me more excited for, you know, Guardians 3, because I mean I do love the Guardians movies, but like that was pretty freaking good. Like that was,
and it was its own story completely.
Exactly. And it's just, I mean, I'm not saying like, you know, forget Hollywood, whatever, because I mean there's a lot of movie franchises that I love, but when it comes to storytelling, man, like, you know, we have so much time to breathe with video games. We have so much time to spend with them versus a movie, which is usually only around 2 hours. Sometimes, you know, goes a little bit longer depending on what it is. But I don't know. It's just very disheartening to see that, you know, Naughty Dog is like this big pillar that Sony, you know, has owned forever. And they, between, even starting with like Crash Bandicoot and then, going to Jack and Daxter, telling more story-driven narratives that way, then heading on to Uncharted, The Last of Us. It's like they should be able to get this done. I don't think Naughty Dog was tied to this, but I do know that Neil Druckmann came to visit on set a few times. But poor Tom Holland, man, he's given it his all. He really is. And
he is really not on the hot streak outside of Spider-Man.
I regardless of what people think of the movie Cherry, I think he did a good job playing, his character in Cherry. Same thing with Devil All the Time. Spies in the Skies was actually pretty good too. Like, I think Tom Holland is a great actor. It's just sometimes I feel like he needs to break through the Sony picture bubble, because there was talk about, the Jack and Daxter film and or TV, but it's like, all we want is a new game, but whatever. And, Tom Holland expressed interest in wanting to play Jack. And I'm like, I guess when it comes to Jack and Daxter, I guess it would be a animated type situation. I don't know. I'm sorry, I've been kind of ranting here for a bit, but it's a Sunday and work tomorrow. Just saw a really bad movie over the weekend, trying to wash out of my brain. But overall, regardless of what our thoughts are out there, everyone who's listening, we do encourage people to watch these movies and form their own opinions, because what we say is not law whatsoever. We're just two guys talking about, a movie that we did or did not like. So, it's our opinion, no one else's. If you disagree with us, that's totally cool. There's a lot of podcasts I listen to out there where I don't agree with them on a lot of things, but I still listen to them. So don't, if you like the movie, that's fine. Just stick around. That's all we ask from you. But Devin, I'll pass it back over to you so you can give your final thoughts so we can get into our ratings and get the heck on out of here. I did not think we were going to be talking about this movie for this long.
Yeah, I don't know how we did. There's just not much to talk about. We really squeezed the life out of it. It's so meh.
Yeah.
Meh-charted.
Is it mid-charted or is it charted?
It is definitely mid.
I think
below mid.
I think they should change it to charted, because this is everything I've seen before.
Yeah, we've charted this before.
Charted waters. Exposed waters. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as score goes, I don't know. I'll give it like a 40. I don't know. It's just not good. There's nothing this movie does well.
Yeah,
try to give off one good thing this movie does.
The only good thing I can say is Tom Holland's performance, because he really, really put his heart and soul into playing a young Nathan Drake. I think he did a great job as young Nathan Drake. It's just everyone else around him. He was definitely carrying this movie on his back. That is the one good thing I can say about this movie. That, and if you're looking for a nice, easy family flick, if you want an Indiana Jones adventure, just go watch Indiana Jones. Just go watch Indiana Jones. For the critic side, I know other people have enjoyed this film as well, and like I said, it's just all about opinion. But that would be my one good thing I could say about it. For my score, I gave it a 2. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. So that's about a D+, I want to say. So, that's not really saying too much. Unfortunately, again, it's just not going to work. And it kind of makes me worried for others, because you can just tell there was no heart, no soul poured into this. There wasn't a magical sense of adventure. Like I said before, there wasn't that need of wanting more, needing to explore, saying, oh man, what's going to happen? At least with Sonic, we went into it knowing it's not going to be that great. And it actually ended up being pretty freaking decent. For a video game movie that was clearly geared towards kids. I don't know who this is geared towards, to be completely honest, but I guess it would just fall into the family friend type, turn your brain off for 2 hours and kind of just enjoy the ride. Obviously, we're going more in-depth analysis with it, but a lot of the shots just nothing really wowed me. But it's just, I don't know. disappointed, but not surprised. And also, not every video game out there needs a movie and or TV counterpart. Just saying. I know it's an amazing world to dive into, but it takes heck of a lot longer to beat a video game than it is to watch any movie. Like, I could watch all of Lord of the Rings Extended Edition, and within the same time frame, I probably would be and or probably would not be done with Horizon Forbidden West, which I said I'm playing right now, because that's just more of an open world game, so much to do outside of the main story. But yeah, you said a 40% from Devin and a D+ from me, which I guess could equal to that's like a 50. I don't know, something like that. If I was being generous, I wouldn't go anything above like a C-, but I'm not generous today, so D+ it is. D+ it is. So that pretty much concludes our Uncharted coverage here on the podcast. Again, thank you, Devin, for always coming on. Amazing co-hosts from this man right here. Give him a nice little hoorah. Right hand man. He's very dependable, and just want to say thanks for suffering through this movie.
Thanks, Sully.
Man, oh man, and that cat. I was like, what was the point of the cat? What was the point of the cat?
He showed up in the post-credit scene too.
I only stayed for the first one. I was like, okay, this is enough. You're only getting one credit scene out of me. And to be fair,
there's also, you'd probably know who it is, but there's a bad guy with an eye patch, probably from the games or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. I won't say anything, but yeah, I got you. But as I said before, that concludes today's episode here on the Film Optix podcast. We have a semi-busy March coming up. February is coming to a close. Daylight savings time is coming to an end. It won't be dark by 5 p.m. anymore. Can you imagine? It's going to be amazing. But for everything that's out on the show right now, to let you guys know what you can listen to, since we've been starting off this year pretty fresh. Of course, we got like our Scream 2022 review. We have our Book of Boba Fett season 1 review, our Raised by Wolves but more so of a first impressions episode that's out. And we actually just finished our Peacemaker season 1 review with the lovely Tessa Smith, aka Mama's Geeky. Definitely go check out that episode if you haven't already. And we're going to be continuing our Hunger Games franchise revisited with Mockingjay Part 1. That is going to be, I haven't decided. It's going to be released in March for sure, since it is a monthly series. But I haven't decided when. Maybe on the anniversary of the first film. I'm not entirely sure. But definitely follow us on Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X, to find out when that is. We have a lot of fun things coming up in March. Of course, we have the Batman. We have Halo series dropping later in the month of March. Same thing with Moon Knight. We have X, I believe that A24 horror movie that's coming out as well. What else? Turning Red comes out in March as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Not in theaters.
Huh?
Not in theaters.
Yeah.
For some reason.
But Buzz Lightyear is going to be in theaters.
Of course.
That
trailer is insane.
Yeah. I'm again disappointed but not surprised. Actually, I am pretty surprised that they still haven't. Poor Pixar puts in so much into their stuff. It's crazy. But those are just a few of the episodes we have out on the podcast now. Again, always make sure to share an episode with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it is. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie buff in your life. And we're going to wrap up here. And we hope everyone has an amazing start to their week, as this will be dropping on a Monday. And we'll see you guys in the next one. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.